All right, here we are. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to an all new edition of House Calls, a podcast. Today's episode, The Reluctant Plungers, and Ty's got a rubber ducky. What's
Should
your
we
rubber
just get
ducky saying?
after it? Yep. I
What,
think we should
what,
get after it and then
all right,
talk to the plunge.
what did your rubber ducky say in terms of temperature?
I'm at 45 degrees.
Then I'm at 44 and a half
Okay.
or 45 also.
Who's going
All
first?
right, I'm in. I'm in.
Oh, oh,
Come on.
oh.
Come on to go. Whoa, aggressive. Uh, Hi, Ty. Welcome to House
So,
Calls, a podcast.
yep, this is a great
Coming from
one.
our ice plunge. Yep, this is a first ever. Two guys, two tubs.
It's like
Ty,
Seattle's commercial.
it really is a Seattle's commercial.
Both are a couple miles apart. Matt, tell me what's your technique.
Seattle's commercial. That was amazing. So my technique is, depending on what I'm doing, I usually do a plunge before I work out. If I'm doing like hot yoga, I've been trying that, but definitely I do it every day after I work out. And my technique is to get in and just calmly start breathing through my nose and out through my mouth. Deep breaths, and pretty quickly you don't even realize about the temperature.
So, my technique's a little altered today because I have my ear pods in. Usually, when I jump in all at once. I try to dunk my head, get my head wet, get my face wet. There's something called the drown reflex, which automatically relaxes you. So it's a little harder when you can't get your head wet or your face wet. But I immediately start taking deep breaths. So I either breathe through the nose and breathe out through the mouth. And then I have a technique where I pretend that my abdomen is a fire and I basically kind of breathe up the fire from my abdomen and then kind of sprinkle the fire on top of me, and that warms me up.
Interesting. So I try to do the whole body at the very end. When I'm ready to get out, that's
Okay.
when I do the whole body. But again, with and I call them AirPods. You like to call them ear pods, whatever. But I do it at the end. Um,
Okay. So
that,
I am right now, like I said, I think about 46 degrees. And what I have found is a couple things. I have done it at 32 degrees where I was kind of breaking the ice. And that is something where when you jump in, it takes your breath away.
right.
But after a while, you're actually pretty numb and it's not too bad. I feel like the over 40 degrees to even 54-ish degrees, uh, if you don't concentrate, you start getting a little chill, and the last minute's actually harder.
I totally agree. I also found recently though when I get in, because I go slow in, dunk to get out. But when I go
Huh.
slow in, like the chill sometimes I get makes it feel like I'm sweating as I get in because
Oh,
my heart's
wow.
like just
Okay.
beating really fast. So I just take that deep breath and that really calms me down. But I definitely feel the effects of it when I don't do it. I can feel my body and my mood change when I don't do it.
Now, do you keep your hands fist or open?
Open.
So the
What about
other
you?
thing though, and we'll talk about this in the studio, is this podcast has circulating water. So water's being pumped in and pumped out because there's a chiller to it.
Right.
But my original one where we just dumped ice in it, your body, because the water's not circulating, your body actually warms up the water around it.
Interesting.
So that does help a little bit.
Yeah, no, I like the chiller. It's just because I can do it quickly. It's always ready to go. I do it. My family does it, so we're not worried about getting ice all the time. So it just makes it a little bit easier to maintain that temperature.
So when we did it in the wintertime, when we first got it, this is last year, it was simple because it was cold all winter and we never had to get ice. But once summer came and my son got back from college, he was getting ice every day. It was like 26 bucks a day. And I quickly did the math and said, okay, a chiller's like 1,200 bucks. It's time to get a chiller. But you can get different cold plunges all the way up to
Right.
like $7,000. So if you just have a tub with some ice, the tub itself is probably 200 bucks. It's the chiller that's more expensive. And then if you really want the top of the line one, you can do it. But cold water is cold water.
Yep, exactly, exactly.
So
And
I
yes,
think we should continue from the studio. But before we sign off, I'd like to take my headphones out and dump my head.
fair enough. And then after this, are we gonna be throwing like football through a tire swing or something like that?
What did you say?
Is are we gonna be throwing footballs through a tire swing? For the rest of the Cialis commercial,
I've never seen that one. The one thing I was going to say though is the 3 minutes. I don't know how long we've been going, but the three
right?
minutes when you distract yourself. So I guess it was 2 winters ago. I did a series of YouTube videos with me and the cold plunge. When you're distracting yourself, talking to the camera, doing the video, it's a lot easier. When you're sitting here just by yourself,
Absolutely,
not distracted, looking at the
right?
sunset, you really need to focus on your breath.
Absolutely,
So I'm
absolutely.
going to
So,
focus on my breath for a
all
bit,
right,
take
you
my
too.
headphones out, dunk, and then get out.
All right, bud. See you in a minute in the studio. Woo, woo.
So, welcome back to House Calls, the podcast. This is the Reluctant Cold Plungers. So, to start off, Matt, I want to hear your origin story. When did you start cold plunging and why did you start cold plunging?
I started, I think, over a year ago, year and a half ago.
Okay.
Yeah. And friends have been doing it. You've been doing it. You talked about it, but I heard about it. My brother and my sister actually were doing it. And I started reading about it, and I really liked the idea about the breathing aspect and the recovery. But the breathing aspect for me is the real reason I bought my own and really got into it this year. So I've noticed in my yoga practice that I've been doing it 8, 9 years yoga and always hot yoga. And I was realizing that I kept losing breath. I would be in a pose and I couldn't catch my breath. And then it would just take me out of the whole deal. And what I realized was that I wasn't breathing correctly. And so I concentrated on breathing more as opposed to concentrating on getting into binds and things like that. Um, so if I was breathing better, then it would allow me to get more out of it. And so I kind of use that to get into the plunge, and it's helped on both aspects.
So, do you think cold plunging is a fad?
Uh, I could see how you could think of it as a fad, but it's been around forever.
Yeah. That's how I think of it. I think I first cold plunged in. We had a cold plunge in high school for injuries, but you tended
Right,
to just put your knee in it or your ankle in it. But if you had a back injury, you put your whole body in it. We had one in college. It's been around sports forever. So college level, professional level, they all do it. Um, I think the only thing that is so hot now is now people realize how great it is, and now it's more available and more affordable to do it in your home.
right. And these pods are easy to get, and then they're collapsible, they're portable, and depending on how you do it and where you take it, you can travel with you. So yeah, it's definitely it is out there, but I could see how people would think it's just another passing fad, but I
So
don't think so.
when I first got into it, and I always knew that like when I jump into a cold ocean, so
Right,
however cold the Atlantic Ocean is in June, it's pretty cold. I always knew that I was super refreshed. And then I did a series of tough mudders a couple years back, and in the tough mudders, there's something called the Arctic enema. So say you're 5 miles into an 11-mile run with the obstacles, you jump in that thing. First of all, it's scary
right,
because you start freezing and you had to go under because there was a board you had to go under, but you're swimming through ice cubes. But when you get out of that, you have so much adrenaline. You're so upbeat. You fly through the next couple miles without even thinking about it. So that's where I was always interested in the cold thing. Then Dr. Klepper gave me a book about Wim Hof. I think it was
right,
called What Doesn't Kill Us. It was written by Scott Carney. And he talked about a lot about how we live in too much of an environment that's controlled. You know, you're in AC in the summer, you're in heat in the winter, and we don't get out into the extremes enough. So I was interested in the cold.
And I thought about like doing the whole stand outside in the winter with my shirt off. And I was like, I didn't really get into that.
No.
I personally cannot take a cold shower. Somehow the dripping down is too much for me. I've
Right.
tried doing the thing where I take a warm shower and then I turn it cold the last couple seconds. Can't do it. So originally I was like, if I lived by a frozen lake, I could do that. I could jump in. And so when I saw these ice pods, I was like, that is the perfect solution. Uh, but I was still chicken to do it. And
Right.
then my family got me one for Christmas and I opened it up and I was like, this is wonderful. I can't wait to do it in May or June when it starts getting hot.
Right.
And my son was like, you huge inappropriate word. Uh, we're doing it tomorrow. So I hope it was like December 26th. I got home from work. I was hoping he was going to forget about it. And he did it. And then I had to do it. And I jumped in and I loved it.
Yeah. But that's it. I think once you kind of get into it and understand all the benefits of it, the cold part, the uncomfortableness is, in the rear view mirror pretty quickly.
So let's talk about the physical benefits. And then we'll do the mental benefits. What physical benefit are you getting from it?
The decrease in inflammation after working out, I'm not tight. I recover better for the next day. I think that's the biggest and the easiest one that I can feel immediately.
And did you say you do it before you work out or after you work out?
Sometimes, like if I'm going to do like a pretty intense hot yoga class, I will do it beforehand and probably do the hot yoga class within the next 15 to 20 minutes, depending on where the studio is. Um, and I've noticed that it actually keeps me cooler because unlike you, all this great mop of hair up top. So I go through a lot of headbands during yoga and to keep the sweat out of my eyes. I don't have to change them quite as quickly if I do it beforehand.
Yeah. So the inflammation for our age, I mean, your joints get inflamed, your muscles get inflamed, and it's definitely great for recovery. It shows it decreases inflammation. Younger people, if they do it after they lift weights, or any age, if you do it after you lift weights, you don't get that hypertrophy. So they recommend if you're trying to get bigger, don't
Right.
do it right after you lift weights. But I don't think for guys our age, like a couple millimeters on the bicep is probably not as important as your joints feeling better.
Yeah.
I would guess for most of us. There's also the metabolism thing. So there's the colder environments, you have more brown fat than yellow fat. Brown fat is healthier and that helps your metabolism. The one thing that has to help your metabolism is I'm inside right now. I'm
Right.
still chilled.
Yeah.
Are you
That,
still chilled
my
even though
legs
you're
are
outside?
definitely chilled, but I'm outside to get past that chill because we have the air conditioning on right now inside.
Okay. Another thing, just socially, is socially in the summer, there's a lot of events where you have to dress up for, and they might
Right.
not be in air conditioning. And you and I were at an event recently where I cold plunged right before I went to the event. And I'm telling you, everybody there was drenched. I consider myself kind of a moderate sweater, not wearing a sweater, but sweating. And I would say for 45 minutes, I was chilled. And then the next half hour, I was not chilled anymore, but I wasn't sweating. And then an hour and 15 minutes in, I was sweating like everybody else. But that is a benefit I've heard nobody talk about. But if you're going somewhere and you don't
Oh,
want to be the one
highly
sweating,
recommend.
hop
Yeah.
in the cold plunge before you go.
I sweat profusely. I don't know what I sweat. I don't know why I sweat. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I can't sweat out that many Twizzlers, but we've been at weddings together where I'm sweating through suits and tuxedos on the dance floor, and I just cannot stop sweating. And this has helped me a lot doing
Okay.
it
So
beforehand.
what do you think are the main mental benefits?
The mental is the best. So where you do it down here, I can actually see the Severn River from where I do it, and it's very calm and very peaceful. And it just allows me to kind of shut it down and just concentrate on my breathing and get into a meditative state. Not every time, but a lot of times. Beginning, I used to use a timer to get in and out, and then I kept focusing on that. But now over time, I don't use a timer, and so, but I usually my body knows it's like 3 to 5 minutes is usually when I'll do it, and and then I just know my mood is better when I get out.
Yeah. So I'm the same way. This research shows you get a dopamine hit from doing it. I think part of that's the cold. But part of that is just the accomplishment of getting something
Right.
done. And I think most people have a little bit of a fear before they get in there. and overcoming a fear, almost like doing hard things, getting over something hard really elevates your mood. When I first started doing it, I was jacked up with a calm energy for like 6 hours. And I joke about like the first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. The first rule of cold plunging is all you do is talk about cold
Right.
plunging. And I was coming to work like flying on cloud nine, but all I would do is talk about how great I felt on cold plunging. I'm sure everybody I worked with was like, "Oh my God, would he shut up about cold plunging?"
We were. I don't even work with you, but we were.
um, but I'm not the person who I did it 45 days in a row, and those days it was all under like 35 degrees. But then I took a break for a while because it got to be almost like just it got too easy, and then
Right.
I started doing it again. So I do think it for me. I think some people need to do it every day. I think for me, I like doing it for a spurt here, and then maybe take a little break, and then do another spurt kind of thing.
So we tonight, or we did it this evening, and a little after 7 when you and I both got in. I've never done it that late in the day, and so I'm interested to see what my sleep will be like tonight because, with like you said, it does amp me up. So I'm curious how that's going to, if or how that'll affect my sleep.
I think one of the main things about sleeping, if you're somebody who has trouble getting to sleep or staying asleep, is you want to be cool. Um, so I imagine being cool in the cold plunge will be good. Now, how will that do as your body raises its temperature when you
Right.
wake up? I'd be interested in hearing that. The thing about exercise is lowering your core temperature does increase your exercise endurance capacity. So that's
Right.
why it used to always be done after workouts. Now people are doing it before workouts. My son usually does it before workouts. I've done it some before workouts. I've noticed that it increased my exercise capacity. But when you're older like us, you can't jump in and then start going hard. You still
Right.
got to get your body a little bit pliable, do
Yep.
a warm up. So it's great to have your core down. But I did it this weekend because I had a tennis match and then an old man or all age lacrosse game. I would have never been able to make it to the lacrosse game if I didn't lower my core body temperature doing the cold plunge.
Yeah. I was
And then,
worried about you.
and then we had a social event after the lacrosse game, and the cold plunge wasn't enough. We were grilling burgers and hot dogs, and even being anywhere near the fire, I was just overheated.
Yeah. You kind of wimped out early that night too. So it made me feel better.
Now, the other thing you'll see on the internet, though, is there's a lot of, like with anything in wellness, some people like it, some people don't like it,
Sure.
and you will see criticism. And I think one of the main criticisms is the one I mentioned, like, oh, don't do it if you're trying to lift weights. But, we explained that. But the other criticism is that it might not be great for women.
Right. I was
Um,
about to ask about that.
so the thought is that it can raise your cortisol levels and your stress levels. So if I mean, it makes sense if you're worried about it before you jump in, and then you jump in and you're only worried for a couple minutes, and then you feel great. Then that's not an issue. The temporary raise of your cortisol. But if you're already at a high stress level or a high cortisol level, and this is just one more stress, then
Yeah.
it's
It's probably
probably
not.
not for you.
Right.
You know. And I guess you got to know yourself. And then there's the mental health benefits, like can it help overcome depression and things like that. Well, if you're depressed and you jump in and you have a huge mood elevator, that's incredible. But let's be honest, if you're depressed, you're probably not going to have the willpower to jump
Right.
in a
Right.
35-degree thing. So I don't know how you force yourself to do that. And then it gets back into the if you feel like you're getting depressed and you have the willpower to jump in, go for it. But I don't know if you should be adding one more thing to your list.
Talking about fads and things like that. Wellness and fitness is a cocktail, and you got to kind of put a little of this and try a little bit of everything, and take what works for you. And if something doesn't work, don't do it, even though it might be the fad. So right now, I feel that the fad is the weighted vest, and I think people that are using it and are doing it, it's great. It's getting people out walking and moving stuff. But if it's not for you, you can walk without it and it's going to be okay. So it's the same with the plunge. If it helps you, go for it. If it's not for you, find something else. But it doesn't hurt to be curious, wellness curious.
I call it like a health voyager where you look at
Right.
everything, you try things, or a health explorer, I've called it, where you try these different things. But I think we all need to be careful that if you did the whole list of things where you tried to become Superman or Superwoman, it would be a full-time job. You'd never be able to
Absolutely.
do it. And you'd be changing every couple months as things were different. Like you said, you'd be walking with a weighted vest, which I think is a great idea to walk with a weighted vest if it's your thing.
Right.
And the one thing is, I love the weighted vest. I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but let's say you're trying to lose some weight and you're walking to lose weight, which is a great thing. So say you lose 10 pounds. Well, then you are 10 pounds lighter when you're walking. So you're not burning as many calories as you used to walk. But if you put on a 10-pound weighted vest, then you're burning the same amount of calories you were when you were heavy. But it's like I said, the internet, everybody's for the weighted vest because obviously it's a good thing. It makes sense. But then somebody will always say, well, this is what's bad about it. And then you look deeper and you're like, well, the thing that's bad about it is that doesn't mean you shouldn't do your squats and your leg strengthening exercise, your strength work. But they trick you with the headline. So it's the same thing like with the cold plunge. You'll see a headline, cold plunges are horrible for you. And then they'll do this list of things. It's like, well, yes, you need to get cleared by your doctor. You shouldn't have heart problems. You shouldn't have lung problems. I say the first couple times you cold plunge, like I made Roddy sit there with me in case I had some undiagnosed problem. I didn't want to pass out and not get out of the water.
You in the tub?
Yeah. What? Yeah.
He was with you in the tub?
I made him stand beside me.
Oh, okay. Okay. And hold your hand. All right. That's fine.
But it's like anything. But I do think the whole wellness thing, if you're like, I have to wake up, I have to get my morning sunlight, I have to do my grounding, I have to eat my perfect meal, I have to do my this many minutes of meditation. And even stuff that I say, like all these different exercises, the idea is to find something that's doable for you. Make a simple plan that you can stick with.
Keep it simple. That's everything. Otherwise, it's a full-time job and you have no social life. You have no anything else. And,
so now I'm going next level philosophy. The Tao Te Ching says that any plan should be simple, compassionate, and patient. So I think the compassion comes in on the cold plunge. If it's great for you, do it, but be compassionate to yourself. If you are making yourself miserable, then you can find something else to do.
I think that's good policy for everything.
Okay. Chilled?
My legs are, yeah.
Okay. Yep. My whole body's still chilled and I'm wearing a sweatshirt shirt.
Yeah. Well, Ty, that was fun. I hope people get a lot out of it. And if people want us to try other fads, weighted vests or whatever it is, you can hit us with an email or put a comment in the comment section. And all I can say is, how about us?
How about
us media?
Thanks to our sponsors. And if Cold Plunge wants to sponsor us, that would be great. If not, we're going to thank Trident Capital, Chesapeake Orthopedics, Lisa DeLeonardo, Reading is Fundamental, Persian Panther LLC, and our newest sponsor. He has not sent the check yet, and I don't know if he knows he's our sponsor, but Mission Smith. He used my cold plunge this weekend. You can follow him on Instagram. It's 3 S's right next to each other in Mission. So not M, you know how to spell Mission, but it's 3 S's, and then Smith with a 4th S. So we got 4 S's in this whole Mission Smith thing. And that's Mission Smith is about how a young guy is just getting after it and trying to improve his wellness. It's a cool website.
I like it.
If you are cold plunging and you're podcasting and you don't trust your editor, don't get caught with shrinkage.
That's a good rule.
And how about us?
Boom.
Good night.
Good night.